solving the tired after work gym problem is essential for you getting results. Big days happen. They have you feeling mentally fatigued, inconsistent, and then guilty for skipping workouts. I deal with this constantly. I've dealt with it for myself, but more importantly, I deal with it with a lot of clients. And often these conversations start in the car on the way home or even beforehand. And it tends to look like I've got no energy, or internal monologues that go like, I'll just hit up the gym tomorrow when I feel fresh, or I'll just sit on the couch for half an hour, then get going, which doesn't happen. You get home, you then tend to have a certain layer of guilt for not training. This can then be filled with a certain feeling of uneasiness, which can lead into snacking and just feeling an overall level of guilt and feeling like you're not properly motivated and won't hit your goals. Rather than dealing with this frustration, I think this is the first thing to understand that's quite important, is often this is set up by people thinking that every single workout needs to be 10 out of 10 10s. It needs to have this super high level of performance, and it needs to look like these hardcore beastie workouts that are just too hard to adhere to when you're really tired. What you actually need is a plan B workout or a tired day strategy workout. So this first entails giving yourself the permission to do less, to remove the all or nothing mindset, which people end up falling themselves into, which is neither productive and is incredibly draining. Then, with designing this minimum workout, you might play around with a few different strategies. You can play around with the length of the workout, how intense the individual sets are, the exercise selection, and even the total amount of sets. I tend to play around with clients different variations of all these different things depending on their personalities. The same with coaching. If you want to look into this in the description, you can do. But if you are someone who's trying to figure this out for yourself, it might look like understanding that the intensity you need to train at for good strength production isn't a 10 out of 10 hard set. It can mean you are training exercises with 2, 3, 4 reps in the tank, and that's still moving you forward towards your goals and getting you the skill component and keeping you in the gym and away from snacks and all that good stuff. It can mean removing the total sets within the workout. There's one of these funny relationships where if you had 3 sets of a exercise, it's not like each individual set is worth 1/3 of the gains in strength development, etc. It is probably more likely the case, I haven't got a perfect stat in this, but it's roughly this equation where the first set might have 50% of the benefits. The second set might have 35% of the benefits, and then the last set might have the remaining 15 to 20 sets. So suddenly you can see even you doing 1 set or 2 sets can get you 50 to 85% of the results of doing 3 sets, while cutting back on the overall workload by 1/3 to even 2/3. So that's a really important thing to understand. And the final fallback I like to have is having a variable exercise selection. Look, it's still got to be exercises that still coincide with the goals and are effective exercises, no doubt. But it might mean that if you're in a phase for your pressing, if you wanted to improve your flat barbell bench press and your incline dumbbell press, and they were the 2 movements you really wanted to progress, and just for whatever reason, the idea of using a dumbbells that day was daunting, you can go towards a flat barbell, or there might be other variations of this, such as you want to progress your quads and you're trying to get your hack squat stronger and your leg extension, but the leg extension seems less daunting. It might be the day to just cash in the leg extension and you flip around and save the hack squat for another harder day. Or again, do that lower sets, less overall intensity strategy. So doing these plan B workouts, which are designed for you, yes, but allow you to do things in these harder days. You now go home, you feel better, you make better food choices, you sleep better, and you're a better person to be around. It's worth remembering that the mood in the car doesn't last. It is my experience that very, very rarely, minus certain injury asterisks, that people actually regret a workout. I can name constant times when people would come in and the energy or feeling they have in the car is actually not correlated at all with the workouts they'll have. It could be a certain music tune hits and then things start to change. They could just realize they felt sluggish from not moving. But you only start to know the benefits once you actually go and then have the other positive effects from coming home from the gym knowing you've successfully had a good plan B workout. Then something people don't talk about happens. You develop momentum. You're now the kind of person who comes to the gym and doesn't skip workouts. You've got a plan A and plan B, nothing stopping your fitness goals, and it flows onto the food and the sleep and all the other areas. So, if you don't have a good plan B or bad day workout, you need to make one. You need to make sure it lines up with your goals, or reach out to someone who knows how to do this, because it then leads to another cool thing, which is understanding this, which is that the 20-minute workout that you went in and achieved is way better than the workout you didn't. This is true on every day, but especially true on the bad days. So try this and watch the momentum and your results start to flow. Thanks for watching.